Episode number 3 of The Strain is over, but we're just getting started here on The Strain live on post-show recaps. And now here's at least the one guy who's not going to wait to go to the urologist. I'm going to go that day. I'm not going to worry about what's going on over at Gawker or any other blog or TMZ. I'm Rob Cesternino, and here's Antonio Mazzaro. Antonio, are you going to wait?
No, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to make sure things are going smooth right away. Like, we got to go as good as we possibly can from the jump.
Antonio, Gone Smooth is the name of the episode, and I didn't realize it when I started watching the episode, but I see what they did there.
I definitely see what they do. Yeah, it could have been called Gone Kendall.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy. Man, well, that was the most disturbing thing I saw this week.
This week only. This week only.
Oh, my God.
Not this month, not this year. Well, that was terrifying.
Oh my God, Antonio! All right, here's Antonio, who's filling in for Josh Wigler, who's on his way back from Comic-Con right now. And boy, especially sitting on a plane now after 3 weeks of the strain. Oh boy, Antonio.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned if Josh comes back and he's just one of a few people that kind of pops up here. Do we have to be worried? Are we going to have some vampire hunters stalking us down? I'm very concerned for our friend Josh.
Man, this show is intense, Antonio. It really is. There's some really interesting stuff there. You're on the edge of your seat, but man, I would want to take a shower or a bath after I watch the show, but bad things happen to you there too.
Yeah, there's no quarter for this show. You can't, it's like, oh, I'll go to the hospital. Well, there are people roving around hospitals killing people. It's like, oh, I'll take a nice trip to relax myself. You don't want to get on a plane. I'll play with my kids. You don't want to play with kids. Like, nothing good. There's really no place to hide.
And things are getting worse. They're not getting better for our friends in the world of the strain.
When the rats are fleeing, that's never a good sign.
Yeah, the rats are saying, I'm out of here.
Yeah, this is it. I'm done.
Oh, my God. All right, we're going to talk about episode 3 of The Strain here, ongoing, and boy, just when you think it can't get grosser, just when you think it can't get worse, they're outdoing themselves every week. I don't know where else they have to go after this week's episode. So we'll talk about everything that happened. We've got the chat room going on postshowrecaps.com. We've also got our hashtag PSRecaps, and you can also post your questions on our YouTube channel at postshowrecaps.com/YouTube. And big news, Antonio, The Strain on Post Show Recaps now has its own podcast feed on iTunes. You could subscribe anytime to the Strain-only podcast feed at postshowrecaps.com/Strain iTunes. That's Strain, Strain iTunes, postshowrecaps.com/Strain iTunes. So there you go.
Perfect. I can't imagine why you wouldn't want to listen to every show from Post Show Recaps, but for those of you who only like shows about removable genitalia, then let's do Strain.
Yeah, of course. Sure. If you want to subscribe to everything we've got going on, postshowrecaps.com/iTunes for the iTunes link. All right, let's. I can't get past this. Let's talk about this. I feel like we could do 20, 30 minutes on this. So Gabe, right? That's our rocker guy.
Yes, Gabriel.
Gabe. Okay. Well, it was kind of cool how they did this in the opening scene of the episode, that we got to see our chief bad guy. What's his name?
Eichhorst.
Okay. Eichhorst. We got to see him in the top of the episode, and so we sort of got to see the finished product. It was almost like one of these cooking shows where we got to see sort of like, okay, when you're done, this is what it's going to look like. And then we saw a couple of characters on their transformation to that.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool of this show, we've seen so many shows or movies, True Blood, Twilight, they're making sexy vampires. This show is getting down and dirty with our vampires. We got half noses, we got basically no ears, and unfortunately, as we see with Gabe, we have no sexy parts. So this is not the vampires that we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, this is not a sexy vampire. No sexy time on the Strain. Nothing sexy is happening.
No one's trying to make sex to each other. It's just not happening.
Yeah,
not anymore.
Nobody's going to make sex. This is not True Blood.
This is not. There's no sparkles. This is not Twilight. There's no, pining away. This is noses falling off and Ken dolls.
Yeah, nobody is drinking the V on this show.
Yeah, exactly. No one is.
Okay, so Gabe, as the episode was going along, he's with his publicist Sherry Palmer, and they're talking about how things are going poorly, and he is losing his voice. He's got a show that's coming, and people are talking about him on TMZ. So then I guess like his Dr. Feelgood comes over, not to be confused with Dr. Goodweather. So his doctor comes in and he wants to give him a bunch of prescriptions, and he sort of shows him what's going on downstairs.
Yeah, and the doc immediately gets pretty rattled, right? He says, you needed to be at the hospital last week or whatever. He says, I know a urologist that can make an emergency house call, but I think if that urologist does show up, it's going to be a little too late.
Yeah, I think that this is above my pay grade. And so he's like, no, man, I can't go to the hospital, although, those pictures are going to be on Gawker. Does that happen? Is that a thing where celebrities go to the hospital and pictures end up on Gawker?
I haven't seen him. I've seen some pictures of Brett Favre on Deadspin.
Yeah, but he texted them to somebody. I'm pretty sure the hospitals, and my wife is a nurse, so I'm pretty sure that that they, most of these they keep this on lockdown. There's and this guy, I mean, he's not like give me the
He's not
biggest.
like Bono, right? Or he's not like Marilyn Manson. He's like a minor player, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I guess there's that he might be like mid, like this could be like when one of these guys, like when Charlie Sheen starts going loco, and they already know he bit somebody, and the story, and he's already one of the survivors of the plane crash, so he might have a little more heat on him than normal.
Yeah, and so if he shows up and has, an unfortunate incident with his, appendage there, I think he could have a problem. But I think he's got a much bigger problem now. I mean, they say a stitch in time saves 9. I'm not sure what the 9 there is, but I think he probably could have done with a little preventive care.
So anyway, yeah, so he's like in the bathroom and he's like checking some things out of what's going on in the mirror and taking his contact lenses, and then he goes to urinate, and then like he hears a splash and acts like nothing happened. Like I'm saying, did I just hear something fall in the toilet? Because that's where my mind is going. And then like a tidy vampire, like I'm not sure, does the vampire brain take over? What part of him is saying, now I have to flush the toilet? Because these things are not all jiving for me.
Yeah, NBD, right? Like he wants to, he says to the doctor that shows up, this is a problem. I need you to look at this. And then when it falls off, he just flushes it and it moves on. I mean, obviously he's kind of gone full vamp at that point. I mean, we saw his eyes close. The first thing you see before you see him turn around with no pillar and stones is you see his eyes kind of blink. So I think that's the first time we've seen that from him. He's got those vampire eyes, but he's just totally nonplussed by this. Rob, what's your reaction in that scenario?
Yeah, well, my reaction is I'm not gonna flush the toilet. I'm gonna fish it out, even though that's kind of gross on its own. I'm gonna see if they could sort of like do the John Wayne Bobbitt first off. I'm gonna hold on to it, even if it's just as a souvenir. I'm gonna hold on to it.
You have to.
That being said, you're not even supposed to flush like a paper towel down the toilet. I'm not sure if that's if that you're supposed to do that either. But that being said, Antonio, if he's full vampire and the vampire brain is completely working at that point, is the vampire brain saying, okay, gotta have good hygiene here, I need to flush the toilet?
It must be. I mean, vampires' cleanliness is next to godliness, and so maybe they're some kind of opposite representation. We've seen Eichhorst. He's very particular. He had all of his stuff laid out at the beginning of the episode. So maybe these people that are turning are going to be very specific. We see a little bit of a different tale, don't we, with Ansel, the other survivor who we follow throughout this episode. He's not, being as cleanly or as hygiene-oriented as our vampire Gabriel here. Gabriel, I mean, he pulls a clump of his hair out, and he's kind of nonplussed about it. He wipes his make off, and he's still pale underneath. So, he's obviously noticing this transformation. But when the big thing happens, he's nothing, no problem, nonplussed.
Yeah, no big deal. I don't know, Tony. And also, when the thing falls off, I don't understand. again, I don't know if this is the best journalism we've ever done or some of the worst at this point.
Let me know. You're gonna say pillar and stones?
No. Oh, that would be a bigger splash, I feel like.
I think so too.
I don't understand how he's urinating and then the thing falls off and then he's gone smooth, to borrow the episode title. So I feel like doesn't there need to be some sort of a connection there?
Yeah, some sort of port, perhaps.
Yeah, I don't understand how the thing that there's the plumbing is working and then it
No
falls
faucet.
off and then no trace of plumbing.
No trace of plumbing whatsoever. No pipes, no
Yeah.
handles, nothing. No knobs that you would use for the water. No. I mean, we did, on a serious level, as serious as you can be about this, we did see that the neck wounds that the survivors have, they apparently, according to F, when he was doing his examination of the captain, they heal over very quickly. So quickly that they didn't notice them when they were doing the preliminary inspections of them. So it's possible that these vampires have some sort of rapid healing capability. That said, we didn't have much time past there between that shape to shift into it how it did. So I don't know.
But Eichhorst, his neck thing was pretty gruesome when we saw him like waking up in the morning.
Yeah. So I don't know if he has been damaged by some sort of, magical or some sort of anti-vampire item like a sword like that. And maybe that's why he's bearing these long-term scars, whereas Bolivar's, business can just fall off and we don't have any trace of plumbing. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so we have a lot to talk about still. What was your take overall on this episode of the three you've seen so far?
I liked it better than the second. I mean, the pilot's the pilot. It's going to set up the world. You're gonna like it a little better. I like that we got a better look into Vasily, and we got a lot more kind of essence of his character in more of a three-dimensional way. That he has some heart, that he has some brains. I liked it overall. I mean, it certainly the last two scenes specifically. It's almost like they were making a Strain episode, and they're like, we really haven't had enough yet. So what are we going to put in the last 4 minutes of this show to push you over the top? And sure enough, they found a way. So I thought it moved everything along really good. What did you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. Again, it totally creeps me out, and I'm just itching, the whole time after I watch the show for a good couple hours, even talking about it. I will say though, my one major gripe with this show continues to be the ongoing custody battle with F and his ex-wife and the kids. I just feel like we have whatever in the 42 minutes, whatever piece of the pie is creepy vampire stuff, which is all going in one direction, and it's suspenseful and it's creepy and it's terrifying. And then we have a good 5-10 minutes every week, which is a totally different show.
Yeah, tell me about it. And I think they kind of hinted at it. You saw. I keep expecting that to pay off somehow. That Zach will somehow be involved, kidnapped, become a vampire, something like that. And there was a little hint to that in last night's episode, where Zach is coming down the stairs because he hears some weird noise in the house and it's somewhat dark. And then it's just his mom looking at photo albums and crying. So it's like, why are we spending this time with his family and all this? We know what F is at this point. We know what his motivations are. We know what his problems are and what's kind of pulling him in what direction. So I think we've spent enough time at this point, unless they really want something to hit home later on down the line. I agree with you completely. I don't know why we're spending so much time in the custody hearing, after the custody hearing. I don't really understand why this is vital to the story at this point.
Yeah. I mean, we have like 85% of the show is creepy, gross, disgusting stuff, and then 15% of the show is Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah, and the 15%, we know from the other 85%, this 15% is really going to be peanuts in the end. I mean, in 3 days, when everyone is being taken over by vampires, who cares what the legal order is going to say about custody? They're not even going to have courts. I mean, that's the level of stakes that they're setting up. So I really don't know why we're caring about this at this point.
Yeah, I hear you. We got Abraham back in the mix this week, so I thought it was a pretty cool scene when he was in the court and the judge was talking to him, and he was sort of playing up the, oh, I'm so old, I don't even know what day is it? What is this?
I came to America when they let me out of the camps. Yeah, he's like, I'm a Holocaust survivor. I'll smooth that sword out. Don't worry. Yeah, it's like he was doing a great job. I love this guy. Don't you love this guy?
He's great. He's great. I will say my one bone that I have to pick with him is I feel like he could be a little more upfront with the good Dr. Martinez.
She's not
Don't
ready.
you think?
She's not ready.
I think that, I don't like it on these shows, and feels like vintage Lost to me, where we have one character who has a lot of answers, and he could disclose a bit more info with Dr. Martinez. I feel like he has all the pieces, and he can say, actually, he's sort of like, you gotta find the people, you gotta destroy the bodies, and she's like, well, why? Why do we have to do that? He's like, you're not ready. You're not ready to know about this. You could bring her up to speed, Abraham.
Yeah, it does seem a little odd. None of the characters really, and I think they're going to have a hard time after this last episode with the captain. If we go back to episode 4, and F and the good, and Jim and everyone else are like, wow, what happened to the captain? I wonder what was going on. That was really weird. It must have been some kind of parasite. If they're still playing those reindeer games, I'm going to really wonder if they are ever going to be ready to handle what's coming. Because up until now, they've kind of danced around it. At the beginning of the episode, F is like, why would the military leave 4 survivors? He's like unwilling to admit or say that something supernatural is probably happening. But on the other hand, they have to embrace it at this point. And yeah,
Man of science.
Right. Yeah, exactly. They're a man of science. That's true. So they want to explain it away, but there's no explaining this one.
I think that breaking point to me was the whole thing with when they shine the infrared light over Captain what's his name? Captain Stevens?
Yeah, the dead guy. Or
yeah.
Boyle. Are you talking about Doyle? Doyle, the Captain Doyle?
Captain Doyle, is that his name?
It's Doyle Stevens, I think, yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Captain Stevens. So when they shine the UV light over the captain and they see, oh boy, there's about 1 million worms inside the captain just floating around. I kind of feel like, all right, we got to get this place on lockdown. Like, I don't know what surgery they were going, like, oh, we got to get him into surgery. What surgery? What are they doing to this guy?
Take every drop of his blood out of his body and then put new blood in.
I mean, F and Martinez, they saw what was going on with those worms, right? They're like, I feel like those guys should have been like, what the F? F? What the hell is going on here? We've got all these worms in this guy, that this guy is screwed.
Yeah, there's just too many question marks at this point, even for people of science, to be lining up and just saying, oh, I wonder what's happening. Boy, we really need to operate on this guy. I mean, there's just so many things that are happening now that are beyond explanation. For me, the breaking point is when you're in an you've got a dead plane full of dead people, and it shows up with dead people on it, and then you, in the cargo hold, find a giant coffin. That, to me, is the breaking point. That's when I'm just like, okay, I've seen enough movies where even if I'm skeptical, I'm going to be wondering exactly what the heck's going on here. And wondering in a way that isn't like, oh, we better go to the hospital.
Yeah, I get it. It's, we got to get this story to unfold. Now, why did Eichhorst, why did he kill the guy who was the head of the airlines? What is that connection?
I wondered that as well. I wonder if that's to kind of put forward a narrative that the airline screwed something up, that this wasn't some rich guy bringing in the ultimate evil undead force in the universe, that it in fact was something the airline screwed up and the airline was trying to cover up. And to put the bow on that story, we have the CEO, essentially commit suicide at his desk in his office. By doing that, I think you advance that story more. I don't know what these vampires from Stoneheart, I don't know what they gain by having any kind of delay. It seems to me they're pretty well poised to take over. But I guess we'll find out what buying time will do for our intrepid gang of people who want to do something about this.
We spent a lot of time with Sean Astin's character, Jim, tonight, who basically, last week he had like pretty much one line, So we spent a lot of time with him tonight, and he's feeling kind of bad about this whole thing.
Yeah, and I think I would too. I mean, I understand his motivations, but I mean, this is not good. And he's saying, "What did I do? What did I do?" It's only going to get worse for this guy.
Yeah, and we find out that he has a wife who has cancer, and he's trying to get her into a treatment plan, and that basically he has gone ahead and pretty much, sold out the world to try to help out his wife. And so you sort of feel, you feel bad for him because, at least they gave him some motivation for being the moly mole like he was a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and the thing is, I don't know if it was a lie he was telling himself, or if he really did believe what he said on the episode, which is that he made a deal to smuggle in some medical cargo. Like maybe he thought he was helping somebody circumvent the rules of organ transplants or organ donations so some rich guy could live, longer than he was supposed to. Maybe that's all he thought he was doing. And when he realized the two might be connected to some really horrible things that were happening, he scheduled a meeting, and at that meeting, he really got dangled that forbidden fruit of getting his wife into that study. So he hasn't done anything more in pursuance of that bargain that he's made yet. So far, the only thing he did, right, was to let the coffin go. And that may be the big deal, but he may have done that under the pretenses of really believing that it was just medical cargo that he was smuggling through.
Yeah, but if Jim is really a good guy, and by all accounts he seems to be a good guy, okay, that basically he makes this deal, and it's like, all right, Jim, we're going to pay you $1 million to get some medical cargo in on this flight. Okay, you up for this? Like, okay, sure, yeah, no big deal, I'm in. Now the flight carrying the medical cargo, everybody on the flight ends up dead. Is the deal still on?
At that point, I don't think it is, and it's funny because the first episode, when the guy's driving the coffin away and Jim comes up to the van and sees the business card, he is not like waiting for that van. He's like, oh yeah, let this guy go. Like he's I know that's by means of storytelling, and you don't want to necessarily know that Jim's the mole from the beginning, but I do think that it wasn't like that was his prime purpose, that he was waiting for this to happen. He just sort of let it go as an afterthought, and I think maybe only after all this is he putting it all together that maybe these things really are related. It sounded to me like this is something he maybe has done on more than one occasion. And not just him, but the person who transported the coffin as well, I think had done more business with these guys before. So maybe they were doing test runs. I really don't know.
Okay. So Jim, I thought he was going to die at the end of this episode when he finds, Captain Stevens, and he's the first one to come up and get him. I'm pretty sure Jim is dead at this point. And then I thought one of those three guys was going to get it in the end. Did you think somebody was going to be I don't want to say dead because that's not what happens to them, but I thought somebody was going to be vampire food.
Yeah, I thought so too. And I'm kind of surprised that it didn't happen that way. We saw some major Matrix-like reflexes from F. I didn't expect F to go down, but that was some pretty smooth movement on F's part. So the thing about Jim is I thought he might die because ultimately, so his wife gets in a study that might save her life. I'm pretty sure that the other things he's done to solidify that will guarantee that it will end. So I really don't understand why. What bargain is he really making? What time is he really buying? It's humanity's going to come to a close here.
Yeah, it's sort of a bad deal, short-sighted deal that Jim made. I also, after F kills the Captain Stevens, Jim's like, all right, he's had enough. Jim, this is this is on you, buddy.
Yeah. I don't exactly know why he thought he's had enough. I mean, I don't know that we can determine when enough is enough. The guy might come back to life at this point. I think that we didn't see him get dumped into the North Sea yet, did we?
No, we did not.
That might be a major part of how we get rid of these guys. So I don't know.
What's your take on that? Do you think they need to be in the North Sea or any body of water?
I think really any body of water. What do you think?
I don't know, but I feel like we're robbing Peter to pay Paul once we contaminate the world's water supply, right?
Well, it's just going to go in the Hudson or the East River. I mean, those are all very clean rivers to begin with, right?
Oh my God. Okay, let's talk about our fourth survivor and what is this guy's name?
This guy's name is Ansel.
Ansel?
Yeah, Ansel, Ansel, like Ansel
Okay.
Adams.
Okay. So he is, not feeling well. Also, we didn't see him at all last week, and so he's got some weird symptoms. And Antonio, if this was you and you were one of the survivors of this plane crash and you left quarantine and now you're starting to have some bizarre symptoms, what would your reaction be?
Hospital. Yeah, I'm going to the hospital. It certainly wouldn't be to let my wife kind of harangue me a little bit and just hang around my house and wonder about the dogs and stuff. No, yeah, I'm going to the hospital right away. Because, everyone else on the plane died. And I, for some reason, was the lucky one to survive. Maybe I'm assuming that I got exposed late. I don't know. But, yeah, my reaction's not going to be sitting at the breakfast table. That's for sure.
Yeah, it seems like, once you get sick, like he seems like kind of a crappy husband that, he's definitely things are going wrong and, it feels like he's got a family. He seems very concerned with Gertie the dog, who I am have concerns for as well.
Yeah, he's
So,
really got a hungry eye when he's looking at Gertie.
poor Gertie. And what happened to Gertie? Gertie got hit with something? It seems to have really upset him.
This is not good. Something happened to Gertie. I'm starting to wonder if Ansel maybe didn't make a play at Gertie at some point.
Oh no. Yeah, this is really going downhill fast for Ansel. And so he opens up the refrigerator and finds like a steak marinating and then he's going to drink the blood from the steak which is sort of like in the bottom of the pan and then his wife walks in and that's sort of an awkward moment.
Yeah, that awkward moment when your wife walks in on you and you have blood dripping down your face that you've just drank from a raw steak marinating in blood in the fridge. Yeah, that awkward moment. You're familiar with that, right? Being a
Yeah, and then
married
he
man.
yeah, and then he sort of like puts it back, right? And so is the family going to eat that for dinner then?
I mean, was that steak marinating just in blood or what? I mean, does he have some conceivable excuse like it was red wine vinegar or some sort of delicious marinade that he just couldn't wait to drink, or is it just blood in the steak and that's it? Because that's a weird steak to begin with.
Yeah, you're right. I think that maybe it was a frozen steak and they were sort of thawing it out. Could
Thawing it
that be
out,
what's going
yeah,
on?
that maybe is what happening. Yeah, I wondered that, and it was kind of loose. It was not covered or anything. I wonder what's going on in Ansel's household. That his wife, she seemed to be very superstitious. She seemed to be very taken aback by 9/11. We have a couple 9/11 mentions on this show. So this is a New York and a world that is used to these sort of weird or horrible tragic events that are popping up randomly in the city. And so people are on edge. So his wife is conceivably and not blamefully on edge. But after she sees him drink that blood, I don't know where she goes from here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what she's gonna do. Let's talk about our buddy Kevin Durant, and he is on the trail of more rats, and we got to see another sequence of him with going to find rats in people's apartments.
Yeah, this guy's great. His name's Vasily something or other. We saw him kind of walking in, owning the office that he works in, basically. Secretary's really happy to see him. Her face lights up. She gives him a stack of paper. He's kind of winking and walking with a swagger. And then he has to go to this rich guy's house, right? And he's really nice. He knows about real estate and cigars. He's kind of a worldly man. He's very intelligent. So I think when we first were introduced to him, I don't know what your thoughts were, but mine were, this guy's just going to be a killing machine. He's just going to hunt people down and destroy them. But he seems to have some worldliness and intelligence about him too, and kind of a little bit of heart.
Yeah, it seems like a smart guy. And now, a lot of questions I have about this. Now, is it true that rats bite you on the mouth? Is that true?
I've never been bitten on the mouth by a rat. Have you?
Luckily I have not been bitten anywhere by a rat. And then two, is it true that rats like cigars?
I mean, I'm trying to think back to like the Secret of Nim or rat-based programming that I've watched. If any of these rats were banging down stogies at any point, and I'm coming up blank. But I suppose it's conceivable that they like tobacco leaves. I want to know, was that rat, in that house? Was that rat active or was it a rat floater?
Oh, that's a good question. I think that was definitely not a rat floater. The ones that went into the river those were the rat
Those
floaters.
were the
But that
rat
one,
floaters. I got it.
yeah. Uh, Boy, what is the connection with the rats and what's going on? Is it just that they sense the impending doom, the rats?
Well, that's at least part of it, right? I mean, you get the metaphor of the rats leaving a sinking ship and that sort of thing. I think there's some truth in that. The other thing is, like the show that I podcast with Josh Wigler about on Sunday nights, The Leftovers, animals seem to be playing a part in this story. We heard about the dog and the dog having some issues. They seem to be playing some sort of part in the story. And I don't know if it's generally speaking the sort of broad idea that animals have a sense that is not human about when doom or danger or some sort of bad thing is about to happen. They say birds can sense earthquakes and things like that. Or if it's just that there's some other tie-in to this story that we're going to find with these animals. But yeah, there's definitely something going on with the animals, and I'm not sure if it's a very surface level thing or if we're going to learn more.
So where do you think this is going from here? Okay, so now, I mean, this really has to be the smoking gun here of what's going on. Do you think we see New York City go into some sort of quarantine? Do we go now on the hunt for the passengers of the plane?
Well, I mean, the link between the idea which Abraham says of you need to find every last passenger, destroy the bodies, and anyone in contact with them. That whole idea, like that idea that he spit forth, and that now is in was her name Martinez? It's in her head, right? She's going to be able to say that to F, like we're going to have to kill these people, like we're going to have to kill everybody.
Now, is Abraham already on the case? There was that woman that came in who was like a hacker, and he like traded the manifest for like an Xbox 360, which seems like a pretty good trade, right?
For him, I think it's a great trade. He called it a time waster anyway. So, yeah, he definitely is on the case. And we saw the first name on that list, I believe, was, I forget the guy's name, but the guy who had the daughter in the bathtub.
Yes.
Starts with an A. So she was the first name on the list. And we saw her kind of creepily with her hair kind of falling out, hiding in the shadows when F went there to investigate in this episode. So we know she's still at the house. I don't know what's become of her father. I don't know if we know this yet or not, but do we know in this show? So we know that there's a reason that there's a difference between survivors and people that were killed on the plane. And we know that the people that were killed on the plane are essentially these kind of zombies that, are zombie vampires in some way that are come back to life and that are killing, but I don't know if their actions are actually making new vampires or not. And I don't know if that's what's going to be unique about the three survivors, is that they'll actually be makers. I say three because I think one of them's dead, but maybe he's not. So I don't know if that's where we're going, where the people who were killed on the plane, I think they need to be killed because I think they can potentially make new vampires. But I don't know what the difference is between the survivors and the people that were on the plane but that were killed. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, I would imagine that the little girl's dad is a vampire now because he wasn't there anymore, unless he was like under the water in the bathtub. So I don't know. I have no. I don't know. It's a very confusing show, Antonio. I really don't understand all of the vampire machinations yet.
Yeah, I live my life. I need to know any possible way I can become a vampire. Whether it's, through a virus or some sort of worm jumping into my body, or whether it's through biting on the neck, inviting somebody that I didn't know into my home. I need to know these ways that can happen so that I can prepare against every single one of them. And this show really has me bum puzzled, to use a term that I've heard before.
Yeah, boy, True Blood is a lot easier to understand, and they've got all these other, werewolves and fairies, and I think I still understand that show more than, exactly what goes on the strain.
Yeah, I do think we will learn the logic of it. I think the show has logic in mind, because it has source material that exists. I think it's well spelled out, it's questioned, it's tested. I think we're gonna get a pretty good, accurate story that has logical, steps within its own mythology. But right now, at least to me, none of that is clear. So I don't know where we go from here.
Antonio, week 3 of the Corey Stoll wig watch. How did you think that the wig held up in week 3?
Not so good, man. That Widow's Peak is kind of like a I don't know, it's like a widow's backslash or something. It's not doing well. And I mean, I'm a big fan of Corey Stoll. There was some good news at a Comic-Con that he's going to be a villain, I think, in the Ant-Man movie. He needs to get more work. The guy is great. He was great as Hemingway in Midnight in Paris. He was great as Peter Russo in House of Cards, and I think it's good. But I don't know why we got to put a wig on the guy. Just let the guy be bald.
I don't know. That's the thing about him wearing the wig though makes me wonder if at some point he's gonna turn, and because then we get to see his hair fall out.
You make a pretty good point with that, Rob. It is not something that had occurred to me, and I'm a little worried about that now.
Is that Chekhov's wig?
I hope not. I hope it's not Act 1 of the wig here, and if you see a wig in Act 1, the hair's going to be pulled out by Act 3. I really hope that's not what we're dealing with here. But I think it's entirely possible. I think you make a really good point there.
I've been a defender of the wig for the first 3 weeks. I feel like it may be over-reported, but I felt like at the end of that fight scene, it got a little crazy.
Yeah, there was a skew, and there were hairs this way and that. There's no way to make that look. There's no way to make that look natural. It just doesn't happen. If science had done that, we would be there already in life. This is just. I feel bad for the guy.
Okay, let's get into taking some of the questions from the listeners, talking about episode 3 of The Strain here on Post Show Recaps. Let's bring them in. Scott St. Pierre is moderating the questions tonight, and here is from Jason Burning, and he wants to say, "Holy full frontal, Batman. Guess he doesn't have the stones or the stem." That's no, I believe it was as Antonio said, the pillar or the stones, or the pillar or the stones.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how somehow between you, Josh, and I, the last 9 months, we've managed to cover a lot of castration or I don't know, just full-on removal-based television. But it's happened. This is an unfortunate trend in 2014 TV where members are just being slashed left and right like a price war at a local grocery store. This is bad news. So yeah, I think that full frontal did surprise me. Was there like a warning before the episode? I didn't catch it. Was there a nudity warning?
Yeah, there was a lot of warnings, and they, if I can recall correctly, I'm always on the lookout for the nudity warning. I think they did it at the top of the episode, but not before the segment where that happened. And I felt like it was like 50 minutes in. I'm like, hey, there's been no nudity so far. And then, in and out of every commercial, they're giving you that viewer discretion is advised. FX is, taking nothing to chance.
Well, I think that's probably wise. I think they know, this is a show that really is, it's crossing all kind of comfortable lines and zones. And, the Ken doll moment last night for me, I really, like you said, you talk about itching and just feeling like gross. Between this and the leftovers on Sunday nights, I'm having to put on happy television just to end my night, just to make myself, calm down, center, Seinfeld, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, something to just make myself feel a little bit better about life because, man, this is brutal.
Yeah, it was the scene where Gabe turns around. It's like that scene in Silence of the Lambs where we sort of have like the tuck happening.
Goodbye, horses. I'm dying over you. Yeah, that was terrifying. I don't want any part of that. I don't want any of that kind of dance going on. I look like I'm in the room right now. This is no good. Yeah, I don't want any of that. It's not what I want to see on my television. I'm wondering, though, is this something that Gabe could conceivably incorporate into his act?
I don't know.
I mean, listen, I am not an expert, but I would be shocked if you told me that Marilyn Manson has never pulled off a tuck on stage. I just feel like that's something that he would have done. So I feel like this is something that may give him a little more street cred in the circles that he's in. Maybe he's going to wear a prosthesis. He's already wearing the long black wig. Maybe he can wear some nudicles or whatever they're called.
Let's go to Liver Alone, Kay. Did you notice when the guy was putting on his face, he had a flimsy plastic triangle for a nose that turned into a normal nose? Yeah, so he had sort of like a nose that was it cut off or does it fall off?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know. He doesn't have a nose. He's just got the holes. So something happened to that nose. Could have been chewed off, could have been cut off, could have fallen off. It's not there anymore is all I know. But he looked pretty good. He's got his routine down. I don't know how long that takes him in the morning. But, yeah, that was pretty brutal. That nose, I don't know. what I like thinking about, though, is I like thinking that there's a story behind that. At some point along the line of whenever he was created until now, something happened at some point to get rid of that nose, unless all of our survivors are going to lose their noses like that.
Oh my God. Okay, this is from the great Zach Brooks, who says most disgusting part of last night's episode. Well, I think we've touched on that.
I'd be careful saying touched on, but yeah, we've covered it, I think.
Yeah, is this something that we're just gonna see every single character go through that becomes a vampire?
Yeah, I think that that's what I'm wondering. I mean, like I said, I don't know the mythology of this show yet. I mean, it is interesting that whenever Abraham saw Eichhorst in the jail last week, he said to Eichhorst, "You look exactly the same," which says to me that that's the version of Eichhorst that Abraham knows. And if that's the version that he knows, then Eichhorst has been doing that makeup get-up for a pretty long time, at least since World War II. So,
Which is interesting because you would think that sort of prosthetic technology seems pretty up to speed, like in 1940.
Yeah, I don't understand. You're right. So I don't know if maybe he sought to replicate what he looked like in 1940 and something happened to him right at the end of World War II. I don't know what this is. And like I said, I don't think, though, that it's every one of our characters is going to end up looking like this. And I say that because, as I pointed out earlier, we didn't have a North Sea moment. They didn't throw the parts in the water. So what we did see, and I think to answer Zach's question, the tuck thing was disturbing. But in terms of disgusting, I thought that Doyle, the captain's head being bashed in and just totally deflated, I mean, that was pretty disgusting. And I don't know if what we're going to see at the beginning of next episode is him reanimating and coming back at them because they didn't cut the head off or disperse with the parts. I don't know. But it's interesting with Jim saying he's had enough or that's enough. Maybe it wasn't enough. Like, maybe these guys don't go down like this, and maybe you do need Abraham's, like, sword of justice to cut them apart.
Yeah, you have to cut the head off.
Yeah, I think you might. So I think we might not have seen the last of the old captain there.
All right, let's do one more question. This is from Lee Hewitt, who says, didn't we think at the end of the last show that they were on their way over to the French girl's house? Her father said that she just showed up. Yeah, and that was F is like, crazy. What is this guy talking about? He must be distraught.
Yeah, that was a little ridiculous, right? It's like, oh yeah, well, no big deal. Like, he did. I mean, F did go there, and he got called away because I forget because the captain was deteriorating rapidly and he had to rush over there. But I mean, he found the hair in the bathtub, and we saw her lurking in the shadows. So, like I said, that's the first name on Abraham's list. So, I know we've not seen the last of that set, and I have a feeling we're going to get there pretty quickly in this episode, this next episode.
What do you think
it just makes too much sense.
What do you think of the captain asking F if he was going to die, and F is like, no, we're going to find out what happened to you? I kind of felt like that F seemed a little bit like, I know that he needs hope, but, I mean, F seems to be in a little bit of denial about what's going on.
Yeah, and like you were pointing out earlier, we spent so much time with the custody stuff and the Kramer versus Kramer stuff that I do wonder if some of that is by means of putting some service to F, feeling like he's just going to deny everything, feeling like he's going to try to fix everything, feeling like he needs to take control and really be in charge of something in this other realm of his life. So he's given good news, he's running left and right, trying to fix everything and solve everything. And then at the end of the episode, when he can't do it, what we see happen is just pure rage boiling out of him when he's just beating the captain down with that fire extinguisher. So, maybe some of that is in service of, tying the character of F together and making him seem like this guy who maybe is acting like he is because he feels like he doesn't have any control on the home front.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens next week. Join us, if you're listening to us in the archives, join us live next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, to talk about episode number 4 of The Strain. So very much looking forward to seeing what happens next. What horrible things are going to happen next, Antonio?
I don't know how you can top that, quite frankly. Like, you've already gone full vamp, like, transpire. Well, transpire is actually another word. So, yeah, we've already gone transpire. So I don't know where we can go from there. But I'm sure that the Strain has something up its sleeve to really just continue to advance this. They've got to have a reputation at this point, right? It's like the Fear Factor of scripted drama.
I think so. Antonio, have you guys figured out when you're going to talk about the leftovers this week?
We haven't. Josh has some catch up to do. Josh had a great weekend, I think, at Comic-Con. Follow him on Twitter at Round Howard. It's like Ron Howard, but rounder. And you can see some of his updates that he's posted from there. Yeah, once Josh figures out his schedule, we might be able to hit it this week. We're going to talk some Lost this week, too. And then if we don't hit it this week, we're going to do probably a little, as much as we have the strength and passion for it, a supersized Leftovers podcast on Sunday night if we have to make sure we don't miss anything from this week's, I would say, eventful Leftovers episode.
Okay, good stuff. All right, Antonio, thank you so much for jumping in here to talk about the Strain. I hope we didn't. Well, you were watching it anyway, so we didn't have to put too much of a images in your head that wouldn't have already otherwise been there.
I did watch it twice, so I blame you for the second one.
Oh boy! All right, follow Antonio on Twitter. He's AC Mazzaro, and definitely let us know what you think. Do you want to give people a hashtag? I'm curious to know how many people are following along with this journey into the Strain with us.
So what's our hashtag?
I think it's transpire.
Transpire, yeah.
Although, are people gonna say it's like the word transpire?
Well,
like,
either way, I mean, how many times are people hashtagging transpire?
Okay, fantastic. All right, so we are going to be talking about all this next Monday night. Subscribe to the Strain Only podcast feed at postshowrecaps.com/Strain iTunes. Have a great night, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye.